Welcome to Superhero Pow. I'm your host nerd, Tom Fremgen. Now every comic book fan knows that by the end of World War II, the comic book industry started to change. The one-time bread and butter of the industry, superheroes, were starting to fall out of favor. Around VJ Day, which was in August 1945, there were about 32 superhero comic books, which was about a third of the market at that time. Funny cartoon animal books were like the next biggest genre with something like 27 issues. But by 1950, the number of superhero titles were cut in half. And by 1955, the superhero titles were cut in half again. But then, by 1966, the superheroes were back with a vengeance with over 30 titles again. In between the Golden Age and the Silver Age is the so-called Atomic Age. Now, during this Atomic Age of comics, every comic book fan also knows that only Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman managed to survive cancellations. But they were not the only superheroes to remain in print at this time. And now I'm not talking about characters who were canceled and then may have come back for a couple of issues or something like that. I'm talking about characters who were never canceled. And mostly these were backup characters or backup stories. So let's take a look at those superheroes, who were all DC, mind you, who managed to survive the Atomic Age of comics. First, I'll start off with a character who not only kept his title during the Atomic Age, but like Superman and Batman, he had 2 titles still in publication through the Atomic Age. Any guesses on who it is? Well, if you were thinking Superboy, you'd be right. Superboy was the main feature in Adventure Comics from 1946 all the way to 1969. And he had his own title from 1949 to 1979. Now, it's true that he would share the spotlight from time to time with the Legion of Superheroes, but I think it's fair to say that he more than survived the Atomic Age, he thrived during it. Now, of course, if you want to split hairs and say, well, Superboy is just Superman, so, Superman just had 4 titles instead of 2, Superman in action, or maybe Superman, you'd say, has 6 titles with Superman's girlfriend, Lois Lane, and Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen, as well. To which I say, okay. But for myself, I'm still going with Superboy and Superman being 2 different characters. Beginning with the fall of it all, it was like 1951 when All-Star Comics got rebranded as All-Star Westerns, and the Justice Society of America came to end, officially ending the careers and runs of Hawkman, The Flash, Green Lantern, The Atom, Dr. Midnight, and the Black Canary. Black Canary was the youngin'. She was only around for about 4 years before getting canceled. That same year, 1951, also saw the end of the backup hero, Zatara, coming to an end after a 13-year run. He would bounce back and forth between Action Comics and World's Finest. And he wouldn't appear again until 1965, with the introduction of his more famous daughter, Zatanna. 1951 also saw the end of The Shining Knight, ending his 10-year run in Adventure Comics. And he wouldn't return again until 1972, along with the rest of the 7 Soldiers of Victory, who were canceled much sooner in 1945. Now, going chronologically, the next hero to lose his own strip was Robin the Boy Wonder in 1952. Robin had been running around solo in Star-Spangled Comics since 1946, and that extra 6 years of adventures means that Robin has more comic book adventures than Batman, since Batman is always seen with Robin. Now, I don't know, maybe with all the solo one-shots and mini-series Batman has gotten in the modern age, maybe he's finally caught up to his ward by this point. Next to go was Robot Man. No, not the guy from the Doom Patrol, the original from 1942. His 11-year run, jumping from Star-Spangled Comics to Detective Comics, was over in 1953. Robot Man wouldn't be seen again until a couple of one-off stories in the late 1970s before fully returning in the All-Star Squadron in 1981. Also in 1953, Fawcett Comics finally called it quits, and Captain Marvel and the Marvel family said goodbye after 13 years. And they wouldn't return until like 1973 with Shazam, as DC got the rights, but Marvel took the name. Then in 1954, two more superheroes said goodbye, both of them created in 1941, giving them each a 13-year run. The first being Vigilante. The masked motorcycle-riding cowboy had a great run in Action Comics, plus as a member of the fairly short-lived Seven Soldiers of Victory. He wouldn't appear again until the 70s and 80s with just a handful of appearances. The other character was Johnny Quick. Yes, Johnny Quick outlived the Flash. While the Flash managed to survive with the rest of the Justice Society of America until 1951, his strip had ended in 1949. While the backup stories of Johnny Quick cruised all the way to 1954 in Adventure Comics, though he had gotten his start in more fun. And then the Quality Comics hero Plastic Man came to an end in 1955. Oh, he almost made it into the Silver Age. But Plastic Man wouldn't see print again until 1966, when DC finally picked him up. And that was it. By 1955, or even sooner to a certain degree, all the superheroes were gone except for Superman, Superboy, Batman and Robin, and Wonder Woman. Plus, Aquaman. Yes, the King of the Seven Seas survived the Atomic Age, starting in More Fun Comics in 1941, and then moving over to Adventure Comics, and then finally getting his own comic book in 1962. Aquaman wouldn't lose his solo strip until 1971, giving him a full 30-year run. And at that point, he was still showing up in the Justice League of America. The next superhero to survive the Golden Age in the back pages was the Green Arrow, starting out with Aquaman in More Fun Comics number 73 in 1941, and he would then move over to Adventure Comics and even get a bonus feature in World's Finest at the same time. You could actually read Green Arrow 2 times a month. But eventually, his World's Finest run would come to an end in 1964, well into the Silver Age. And just like Aquaman, he would still be appearing in the Justice League of America at the time. Then in the 1970s, he started his team-up book with Green Lantern. And that's it. That's how all the superheroes died out and how a few hung on until the start of the Silver Age, which unofficially kicked off in 1955 with The Martian Manhunter. But kind of like the origins of Ant-Man, The Martian Manhunter was originally a X-1/Twilight Zone sci-fi strip. So officially the Silver Age starts with the debut of Barry Allen, The Flash, in 1956. Just 2 years after Johnny Quick had been canceled. Can you imagine if they just decided to bring Johnny Quick back instead? And like I said earlier, Plastic Man just missed out. Pushing forward a little bit more, before Marvel debuted the Fantastic Four in 1961, DC rolled out the Legion of Superheroes in 1958, and then Supergirl and Hal Jordan Green Lantern in 1959. And just to point it out, the Challengers of the Unknown debuted in 1957. Now, I don't consider them superheroes, but just in case you do, there they are. And lastly, in 1960, the Justice League of America debuted, as did the Elongated Man. Anyway, by 1961, the Silver Age was in full swing, as the Fantastic Four debuted, as well as Carter Hall, Hawkman, and Ray Palmer Atom. Yes, 1955 had only 8 superhero titles, and 1961 had about 15. Superheroes were back, baby! And they haven't gone away since. Well, there you go. Superman, Superboy, Batman and Robin, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and Green Arrow were the only heroes to survive the atomic age. Although Plastic Man was oh so close. Now, do you think we missed anybody? If so, please let us know in the comments. For myself, I was stunned just how long Vigilante, Johnny Quick, and even the Shining Knight held on. Considering those guys have been nowhere for decades, I just assumed they were all canceled in the 1940s, as opposed to lasting into the 1950s. Anyway, thanks for spending time with me. And if you could be so kind to like, subscribe, and notify, I promise not to sell you any pork I have laying around in my backyard. I mean, it looks okay, but yikes.